Hey up, in case you've missed it, I've just done a regional video on Yorkshire and the teams within it in the 92 and the order that I think they will finish in, top to bottom, effectively for next season. I asked if you all liked the series after the Yorkshire video, and turns out I actually just don't care and I'm going to do it anyway. I'll play the little intro that I did in last video, but if you don't want to watch it and you already know what's happening, just skip about 20 seconds. Let me explain how this is going to work. I've gone through all 92 and split them up into certain regions, so this is really easy with some places like Yorkshire or North East or South Coast, but some are more difficult than others, such as trying to place Stevenage, Grimsby, Gillingham, places like that into a certain region that I can make a video on. So after splitting every region up into a clump of teams that I can make a video out of, we're looking at something like this. Now, the premise of all these videos is going to be looking at each region and the teams within it and ranking them in order of who I think will have the best season in their respective leagues. So today we do it North West. That includes Manchester, Greater Manchester, and then like Blackpool. I don't even know if that class is Greater Manchester, but Blackpool, Fleetwood, all them type of boys. And there are 17 teams within this region, so this might be a long video, but you've got Accrington, Stanley, Barrow, Blackburn, Blackpool, Bolton, Burnley, Everton, Fleetwood, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, Oldham, Preston, Salford, Stockport, Tranmere, Wigan. And going bottom to top in terms of where I think teams will finish next season, in 17th and dead last, league as well, and definitely getting relegated for me is Burnley. I'm very sorry, boys. I'm so sorry. If you saw the Yorkshire video, my reasoning is the exact same with Leeds. I just think the gap between Championship and Premier League is way too big. I think Sunderland have definitely shown a little bit more than Burnley so far in transfer window. And I think people are downplaying or not understanding, really, the loss of the best player, Brownhill, on a free. He's not signed for anybody else yet, and who knows, he might end up signing a contract at Burnley, but I doubt it already been done by now. He got 18 goals and 6 assists in league last season, starting at middle at Park. That is a big, and he's your captain. That is a big player to lose and not get any money for him. Obviously, they've got loads of brass anyway, from being parachute payments up and down, boing for years now. But when you actually look through the 11 that they've got, the strongest 11 that Burnley have got at minute, regardless of the fact that they've got gaps in it and they've not even got a full 11 properly yet, you look at who is Premier League quality. Defensively, I think they'll be good. Trafford is good. Esteve is absolutely brilliant. I think he could honestly do a job for some of the teams in top 10, me personally. Walker's obviously top class. That's a really good signing. Edwards, maybe, who knows, he might be good enough. And I do think defensively they will be good, especially under Scott Parker. That's what they are. But they might score the least amount of goals ever. Like, ever. I genuinely look at this team so far and think, if they break 30 goals, I'll be shocked. I think there'll be a lot of losses, like 2-0s and 2-1s. A lot of closer games than they were under Company. I don't think they'll get tonked, barely ever, whereas it were like every other week under Company, really. There'll be minimal hammerings, but a lack of goals and a lack of serious goal threat and a creative side of things, because I don't even see where goals are coming from, really. I don't see where chances are coming from. I think Burnley, right now, it's harsh, but I think they look like they're going to go 20th. I think Burnley look bottom of league, me personally. Sorry, boys. I don't think they're the only side in the Northwest that will get relegated, though. Next up, in League 2, I've got Accrington Stanley, who I think will be relegated this season from League 2. Now, they were fourth bottom last season, and when you look throughout history, especially recent history, at sides that get promoted from non-league into League 2, because the gap, I genuinely think, is not dissimilar anyway, when I've looked at like Oldham games and playoff final and stuff in non-league. Oldham and Barnet, who are the two that have been promoted, I think it'll probably be about top half. And even if they're not, they'll be miles in front of any sort of relegation battle, as always. You could go back years and use these as examples. Luton, Leyton Orient, Stockport, Wrexham, Chesterfield, all these sides come up and they were just nowhere near any relegation battle at all. A lot of them often go towards top end of the table. I do worry about a lack of quality, and especially a lack of goals when the top scorer is a midfielder, who was only 22, by the way, and he's got 9 goals and 6 assists for a side that finished 4th bottom in division from midfield. He is 100% being sold. I'd have him at Barnsley now. He's 100% getting a League 1 move, or probably MK Dons, because they're spending like a Championship side anyway. And once he's gone, like I've just said, I worry about goals, I worry about serious quality. There's obviously a lack of that and a lack of finances as well. And every year teams just come up and stay up. You've got to find 2 worst teams in League 2, really, right now, that didn't go down last season, that are in the league right now, that Accrington Stanley can finish in front of. And I don't think I can honestly find one, unfortunately. I think Accrington Stanley, proper club, I love the place. When we've been in League 1 and I've been going there for away games, love it. But I think they'll be getting relegated to non-league me next season, unfortunately. But that is it, because 15th in Northwest, I have got Preston, who I actually think will be safe, like, marginally comfortably. They could maybe get dragged into some sort of relegation battle, not to the extent that they were this year, where they like to get points on final day. But I do think they will be safe. Now, there's a big clump of teams in this region. Like I said, there's 17 that we're looking at in this video, and I think almost all of them are going to be fine, comfortably. And Preston are one that's just sort of teetering on edge. Now, there's been a big turnover of players for Preston this summer. Players that have had a lot of game time for a side that has consistently been in and around mid-table. But after a really poor year last season and being on brink of being relegated to League One, they've let a lot of them go. Players like Ledson, who's gone to Huddersfield, Freddie Woodman's gone. Obviously, Kean Best's been released and ended up at Chelsea somehow. Bauer, that centre-half. Emil Riss has gone to Bristol City. Obviously, they tried keeping him, but he's gone to Bristol City. It's a lot of game time and a lot of experience that's gone just like that for a side that finished, 4th, 5th bottom last season. But I do think they are helped in fact that Hecky is a very experienced manager now and he's done well at majority of clubs that he's been at, really. I do really like the signings as well. I think they've used it free market very, very well. Getting Thierry Small from Charlton is top draw. Valentin's honestly half decent as well from Wednesday. Jebison on loan, who knows. Thompson from Stokes, good. Iverson, keeper from Leicester, another one. Bringing in a fire that were on loan at Blackpool, I think, last season. The fullback from Brighton, a good signing again. The signings are good. The signings are generally very good. But I think this is more of a case of teams coming up being quite good again as to why I've got Preston still fairly low in table, despite, I think, strengthening so far. Like similar to Accrington Stanley in League 2, you've got teams coming up from division below you that are definitely 1,000,000% finishing in front of you. Birmingham is an absolute given, and people just aren't realising it yet, or they've not seen it yet, or they've not done anything really as much yet. But Wrexham are definitely going to spend a lot of money as this window goes on. They're sat on a massive wedge, just waiting to pounce, and they've not done anything yet. But I think they'll be above them as well. I think Charlton have made very good signings. It's another one where you've got to find at least 2 championship sides currently in league that didn't get relegated last season that Preston can finish in front of. And I do think I can find a couple, but not enough to push them further up table personally. Defensively, they're fine, Preston, and that's not been a problem ever really while they've been in Championship, especially at home. They don't concede loads and loads of goals. But from a goal scoring perspective, especially with Reece going on a free to Bristol City, I worry about the goal side of things, and they've not brought anybody in that can address that yet. Jebison, I'm not sold, me personally. I do think they'll stay up, Preston, but probably be in a little bit of a relegation battle, which is why I've got them 15th ranking in the Northwest. Now into 14th, we have got Fleetwood, who finished 14th in League 2 last season. It's not the best, not the worst, really, for a side of Fleetwood's stature, but after just getting relegated from League 1, a lot of sides just do a lot worse and do double bounce. Look at Carlisle this season, a much bigger team. And I do think Fleetwood have had, last season, some very talented players that have gone. Obviously, Brandon Wiradu being one at best. I'm surprised he even stayed this season. I thought he'd have been gone as soon as they got relegated, me personally. Big miss, not only as a player, but as a character as well. He did look like a big presence for Fleetwood. And also that Phoenix Patterson as well. They've got a good fee for him, but it's another talented player that's gone to Stevenage in League 1. I do like the signing that they've made already, especially Denver Hume, they got on free from Grimsby. That is top business. To be fair, I thought he could have got a League 1 move as well. But I do think they will slide down table a little bit based on what is arguably the best 2 players. Well, definitely one of them in Brandon Wiradu that have gone. So I don't think they'll finish 14th. I don't think they'll be in even a relegation battle, really, like Preston could be. I do think Fleetwood will slide down a little bit to the realms of probably around 18th-ish. They'll be fine and not in a scrap, but lower than last season. Moving into 13th, I have got Barrow, who I think are just poor. I generally think they're a very, very poor side, and the league position from last season does show that, but they did end very well. They lost 1 game in the last 13, and that's it. And for the last 20 games, they were a top 10 side. I don't think they'll be top half this season. I think the league at top end of League 2 will probably be a bit more difficult with 4 coming down. I think could all have something to say in playoff race, me, whereas that normally just wouldn't happen. So I don't think they'll be top half. I don't think they'll be 18th. I think we're looking at somewhere in middle, around the 15th zone, just lower mid-table side, Barrow. Same as Blackburn, who I can speak about a little bit more because there's more known on Blackburn than there is about Barrow. Blackburn obviously finished just outside of playoffs last season. Ismail, I think, come in and did a really good job with Circus that were left behind from him. Obviously, Eustace is a great manager and we all know that. But Blackburn at the end of the season, they had a proper go. They went 6 without a loss. They won 4 out of the last 5 games. And the very last game of the season, they went to Sheffield United away and ended up with a draw, which meant that they just missed out on playoffs. There's obviously so much going on behind the scenes, right? Where decent owners would just definitely build on the seasons that Blackburn are having. They're overachieving so much every year. They've been in and around this playoff picture for like a few years now. Not had enough to get in, similar to like Millwall. But with the circus that's going on behind them, behind closed doors, any half-decent owner would have brought in some investment and took that next step, spent a little bit of money, which they're doing for the first time in a long time this season. They're bringing in lads that I've never heard of, so I can't comment on them really. And I do think give Ismail the players that he wants, and you will see it's definitely a freaky style of football, let me tell you, being a Barnsley fan. He gave us best season that we've had in, 20-odd years since we last got to Championship playoffs. I do think he's a good manager, Ismail, and people just want to jump on his back because his football's not most attractive ever. But I do think losing players like Bath, Vireman to Derby, another one, Dolan on a free, that's a big miss. Callum Britton looks likely to go. I do think losing a lot of them sort of players is going to hit him a little bit. Plus, it's a stronger league at top of Championship. It definitely is. You can't argue that point. I think Blackburn are another one that will slide down a little bit. Definitely be fine again, but I do think they will slide down just a bit to another one that's like lower mid-table, 13th, 14th, that sort of region for Blackburn personally. Now, moving into 11th, we're starting to sneak into potentially top half territory-ish with Wigan, who finished 15th last season and were absolutely honking to watch. So bad going forward. They make your eyes bleed. It's awful. It is literally like watching paint dry through a microscope. And they have addressed that quite quickly, bringing in someone like Paul Mullin, who's crap, but he is a striker at least. Truly, if you think Paul Mullin is the answer to your goals, I'd be surprised if Mullin starts games after the first couple of weeks, because he were a bottom end League One striker when he went to Wrexham, and all these years later, he's got worse. So I'm not feeling that one, to be honest. Sadie from Portsmouth. Portsmouth fans said that he's all right, but at the age that he's at, I'd have thought that he'd have had more games at this point in his career. But honestly, who knows? It's too early to put judgment out on him. And that Costello that they've got from Burnley, I really like. He looked very good at Northampton. His spatial awareness, I think, is really good. His timing of his runs is perfect from bits that I've seen of him. So I think if you can actually get it to him, you will score more goals than you have this season. I think the creative side of things is where they will struggle. It's obviously an improvement on what they've had so far. They've brought that bloke in on loan from Plymouth. But if he's not good enough for Plymouth, who's in this league, he's not going to be good enough for you if you want to get promoted, is he? Lowe is a good manager as well. People are underestimating that. He's a very good manager. I don't think they'll lose anything, really, Wigan, because there's not a lot to lose apart from Sam Tickle, who I don't think anybody will pay that much for him what they'll want. But I worry about the creative aspect for Wigan, and if they will create enough clear-cut chances for someone like Costello to get on end of, or I do think he'll get a lot of goals if he's actually given service. But that's where I think they're struggling at the minute. Obviously, if the recruitment addresses that with the weeks that's left at window, who knows? But I think there's 10 teams I could say for certain, off the top of my head, that are definitely finishing front of him at minute. Plus a couple of us that could be building something. I think Wigan will be in and around 13th. I'd say just outside of top half. But we're going up table a little bit now. In 10th, I have got Tranmere. Now, these are crap. Like, absolutely garbage. But they've got Richie Smallwood in from Bradford. So that immediately just puts them up like 10 places. I think Tranmere, not playoffs, because rest of the team is genuinely stinking. But I'd said they're going to be in somewhere around like 11th, 12th-ish, just based on the sheer quality that he's got at Middle at Park for any League Two side, really. I'm surprised they've got him, but I will have Tranmere in 10th for North West. Into 9th, we are going for a promoted side from last season via the playoffs. We are looking at Oldham, who were promoted from non-league. Now, they have lost the best player, which were Jürgen Effen by an absolute country mile. Someone that came in and didn't look good enough for the first few weeks. But the manager at Oldham changed the system, a lot of people are telling me, to fit Jürgen Effen in and to sort of play around him. And it worked magnificently because obviously he scored in playoff semis at York. And the two games that I watched of Oldham all year last season were that game against York in the playoff final. And Jürgen Effen looked head and shoulders above absolutely everybody in both games. So that's a negative aspect, that we're taking away your best player. But Oldham are a big club for League Two, right? And you'd think they've got a little bit of brass behind them after getting the promotion. And more importantly, momentum, which is a big thing. Like I touched on with the Accrington Stanley thing, teams that get promoted from non-league are looking towards top end at table rather than bottom. And I think Oldham will be doing exactly the same thing. You've got a lot of experience and know-how in this team. I think Norwood, someone like that coming off bench, mate, he's just going to score goals for fun, off bench. If you're starting him, that's a different thing now, because we are getting to the point where he's going to start bringing his Zimmer frame to games. But to come off bench, fantastic option. There's going to be a lot of signings, and there has been already, as you probably expect, a lot of frees in and outs. I rate Oldham's chances, me. Like, probably a little, like, similar to Chesterfield last season. Slightly worse, because I don't think they'll get in playoffs, and Chesterfield had more about them when they got promoted in first place. I think it'll be a good season for a first one back. No playoffs for Oldham, but I do think they will be top half. And I doubt they'll get Jürgen Effen at all, because he's been getting a lot of minutes for Barnsley in pre-season. Urian obviously wants to have a look at him and probably give him first couple of games in season. I'd have thought if he does go out on loan, I could see him going back to Oldham, maybe, or maybe a bottom-end League One side, but I don't think you will get him, unfortunately. If you do get him, then you'll definitely get playoffs, because he'd take the piss, but I don't think you will. Next up, Man United. And you know what? I genuinely think I'm being quite kind to him here, because it is the worst Man United team I've ever seen in my life by a country mile. They are awful. They finished 15th last season. 15th. They got 42 points. Manchester United, 42 points, right? And they've added to it with Cunha, which is a nice start. He's a very good place for Wolves, obviously. Would probably be Man United's best player, apart from Bruno, as soon as he steps foot in Carrington. But they've not done anywhere near enough yet. They need another 3 or 4 signings just to be in touching distance of somebody like Villa. We're not talking about Man United competing for anything or even challenging for Champions League. I don't even think they'll challenge for Europe in general. I don't think they've got a sniff at Conference League. Cunha's a good signing. But I don't know why they're stalling and taking so long with Mbeumo, because he's a fantastic player as well and immediately would strengthen Man United. But everyone else in top 10 has done more than him. Absolutely everybody that's higher up in the table than Man United have done more than Man United in this transfer window. I know what it is. They've not sacked enough minimum wage workers. Where is the working class hero, Sir Jim? I've not seen anything to suggest that they'll be a Europe chaser at all. And I don't think there will be. I see them just about sneaking into top 10. But the way I see it is, it can't really get worse than last year, you'd think. Surely. Having no Europe will help them in league, definitely, because they're not going to have to challenge for anything like that. They're not going to have to travel to Sweden and Switzerland and all these places on a random Thursday night, either. So from a fatigue point of view, and less games, less competition, all this jazz, I mean, they could book some more friendlies in Australia day after season's done if they wanted to. But I don't think they'll challenge for absolutely everything. All other big five, like, I'm even putting Tottenham in this, who'll finish 17th for God's sake, but Tottenham are doing a lot more. All other ones, Newcastle, Villa, Brighton, Bournemouth, even Everton, all look considerably better than them already. I'm not overly convinced on Amorim, but I think I'm being very kind here in saying I think they will just about get top half. I'd say Man United will be in and around 10th. And moving on to another one that's underachieved for a long time, but I think look somewhat like now. I've got Everton, who I think will finish above Man United. I think they're miles better than them. Absolutely miles better. For the last 25 games in Premier League, Everton were a mid-table side, roughly 11th, 10th-ish. And they had a honking start, but got better as the season went on under Moyes, who is a very, very good manager. Very adaptable, can change his ways. I just think Moyes is like the perfect man for this club. He's literally hand-sculpted for Merseyside. And a similar point to what I've just said with Man United, Everton aren't in Europe, obviously. There's 9 teams that's in there, and I think Everton could take advantage of that. They've been fairly busy early doors with signings that they're bringing in, and obviously players that they've let go. There's a lot of players that they've let go there, and that'll free up a lot of wages as well. They're spending a bit of brass for the first time in a while, it seems, from outside looking in. And I really like Everton. Honestly, I do hope they keep the grit, which is very on brand, and it's the culture of the place, innit? But they're getting rid of a lot of players that instill that sort of thing. So I hope they keep their identity, because they're always hard to break down at home, aren't they? The new ground, new-ish manager, but someone that's been there a long time before. They're spending a little bit of money. They're a big club. I think Everton, everything seems to fall into place now. After the scares that they've had in previous seasons with relegation battles, I think Everton are looking like they're going to be on up again. And I'd say they're going to be top half. Maybe borderline pushing for Europe, maybe. I think they'll finish in front of Man United, so I'm looking at about 9th here for Everton. But like I said, the 9 other teams in Europe next season, obviously Brighton and Bournemouth aren't in there, but I think Everton are one that could take advantage of teams like Palace and Forest and maybe even Villa, who knows, Newcastle, these sort of sides that haven't had loads of European pedigree for the last few seasons that still don't look that built for it, whereas obviously like Villa and Newcastle are. I think Everton could take advantage of the games that they're playing and the inevitable fall off down table that they will see. So I will say top half for Everton. Now moving into 6th for the North West, I have got Salford. We're going from one of the biggest teams in the country in Everton to one of the smallest. Salford, I think, are going to be in for another very good season by their own standards, which is just staying up. Whenever they're in EFL, they are a constant overachiever. Despite being bankrolled to success, they should be playing in Manchester League 2, not the League 2. They're a pub. 5 out of 6 years since they've been promoted to League 2 in first place, they've finished top 10. But they've only got playoffs once. Now, there's a serious lack of quality when you look through the actual players that they've got. They've got players like Ben Woodman, who are decent for League 2, but there's not a lot of serious quality in there. The thing that, I'm going to say Man United, the thing that Salford are good at with the Man United system that they've still got with them and the players that have been there and done it for a long time, they're very, very good at selling. Salford are. They've got a lot of sell-ons. They've got a lot of future interest in the players that they've had previously, which will just bring in additional revenue almost constantly. And I do think they've got goals in them, Salford. I do think they've got goals in them. The league could be strong at top end, which is probably why I'm not giving them playoffs and I've got them just outside here. But I do expect roughly the same sort of level for Salford, which is going to be just outside of playoffs. I'm looking at about 8th-ish, 8th, 9th, 10th, something around there, which is the same as Blackpool. Obviously, I think Blackpool will finish higher based on it being a top 6 rather than a top 7 in League 2. But at minute, I've got Blackpool on the very, very cusp at playoffs, but just not getting in. Now, they've made some good signings, right, that they really have, that we'll look at in a minute. But they've lost the 2 best players. From outside looking in, they have lost the best 2 players. They've lost Sonny Carey, who's gone to Charlton on a free, and then Rob Apter, who has also gone to Charlton, but for £2 million. And they have made some good signings, like I've just said. People are definitely getting way too carried away, saying that they're an auto chase or an outside chance for it. Absolutely not. Not even close. But the players that they have brought in are good. They've brought Niall Ennis back on a permanent from Stoke after he did half decent, really, on loan that he had. That Eyup, the piggy bastard from Sheff Wednesday on a free centre-half, is good. The Wickham keeper that fell out of favour at Wickham, that's okay. Same as like Eyup as well. They're like 8th decent League One players. We're not doing anything crazy so far. Honeyman from Millwall is a good signing. I will give him that. And Horsfall from Stockport, again, is a very, very good signing on a free transfer. They've obviously chucked some brass at him to try and peel him away from Stockport. But that is definitely the best signing that they've made. I think Niall Ennis is good. But in terms of by position, we're looking at one of the best in league here with Horsfall as a defender. And I think that's very, very good. Jordan Brown from Leyton Orient as well as a solid option. Spent about 400 grand. Solid option in middle. They've packed defence out quite well. Like I said, Jordan Brown's a good signing. But I don't think there's any serious top quality within this side, me personally. Like Sonny Carey last season was that. I think Rob Apter's still got some work to do, definitely, and Niall Ennis has as well, I'd say, for a 26-year-old. I still think he could improve. But Sonny Carey had something about him that I thought that's a serious player there. Whereas I don't think they've got that now. I don't think they've got anybody that could just grab game by scruff at neck and just get them points from nowhere. And I think that is what is separating them at minute. The goal side of things to really push them that bit further. Now, they finished 9th, Blackpool, after a poor start as well. January onwards, they started kicking on. Last 15 games, they're a playoff side. There's obviously a lot of other players that they've let go, like Pennington, Onomer. Like, there's a lot that they've let go. I wouldn't say they've strengthened that much. I feel like they have improved slightly, but I wouldn't say they've strengthened strongly. Defensively, yes, but going forward, I'd argue they've got worse so far, even by making Niall Ennis a permanent. I think they need a few bits of serious quality to push them that bit further and get them into playoffs. But for right now, I think they're just on cusp of being outside 7th, 8th. We've got 4 teams left to look at, and 2 of them in League One, 2 of them in Premier League. In 4th place for me for North West next season is Stockport. Now, I think these will get top 6. I think this is a playoff side that we're looking at so far. They were playoff semi-finalists last year and lost to Leyton Orient. And if Stockport could actually finish the dinner, they would have absolutely wiped floor with Leyton Orient. Personally. Obviously, the first goal were miles offside anyway at Leyton Orient's ground when Callum were 15 yards off. And Alafe missed a lot of sitters, but that's after doing a lot of work himself in final third and rugging himself ragged every single game, full stop. But they've got a very good level throughout the entire squad. Start to finish, I think, is a good level, which is one consistent of being a good League One side. Now, they lost Horsfall to Blackpool. Well, like I said, I think you are looking at one of the best defenders in the league, personally, for me. I think he's very good. Obviously, Touré's gone to Bradford, who ended up playing a lot of games. Collar's gone, who was good depth. He's gone to MK Dons. Alafe has left and gone to Charlton, who they've got good money for. They've got good money for him. And if he could actually finish his dinner, you're looking at a top championship player there because he's got absolutely everything. I would honestly argue that for a striker, Alafe's worst attribute is his shooting, his finishing, his composure. But if that can be worked on, Charlton have got a bargain there. And I think more importantly that he fit their play style perfectly, Alafe. And they've not yet replaced him. They're looking at some Icelandic bloke, aren't they, I think? Some bloke from somewhere that I've never heard of, who might be this. But they've not yet replaced what Alafe was, which is someone that could just get him up pitch and out of trouble at any time, anywhere. I saw it firsthand in 2 games against Barnsley. Norwood will get ball at middle of the park, and if they're under any sort of pressure at all, it goes straight off at top, flying 60 yards, and you just see this fella just doing this, sprinting down line, and you just can't get near him. He's an absolute athlete. I don't think they've got anybody now that he's gone that can stretch pitch like he could. Obviously, Mothersill coming in is a fantastic sign. I think it's incredible that. He's nowhere near the stature of Alafe, but he can still stretch teams. He's just not strong enough yet to hold it off like Alafe was. Now, they have addressed the Horsfall thing already. They've brought in a Luwu from Donny on a free transfer, which is good for defence. But I still think they need a target man type that can get them up pitch at any point, which is what they like to do. I don't think they'll sell anything else. I think they took advantage of a poor league last season with how crap teams like Huddersfield, Bolton, Barnsley, Peterborough, sides that are typically up there were. They were all terrible. But I don't think they're a million miles off looking at a top side, me. I do think they're weaker, as of right now, than they were last season, looking at the playoff squad to what they actually could put out right now. But once window's done, I could see Stockport having a fairly comfortable top 4, 5-ish team in this league for me. I think they will get playoffs, personally, so far. But they do not break top 3. And the team that does, in 3rd place, bronze medal for North West next season for 25-26, I've got Bolton. who, despite finishing 8th last season and being miles off the quality of Stockport, they're a 19-point difference from Stockport to Bolton. So that's the level that we're looking at here. So why do I have Bolton higher? And being a definite playoff team, I don't think they're a million miles off challenger for autos. Well, a large part of that is down to Schumacher, right? Who got a team with Sam Cosgrove stood up front, promoted in front of the best League One team ever in Ipswich. If he can get promoted, title winner, 100 plus points, with Sam Cosgrove, I'm convinced this guy could turn water into wine. He's very good with limited resources, Schumacher, which obviously Bolton are not. Bolton have got a lot of resources, especially after getting rid of a lot of players that have failed there for the last few years. And Plymouth did have a good team. Like when they got promoted, they did have a good team. But man for man and manager for manager, they shouldn't have even been winning 15 points for Ipswich, really, but they ended up winning league in front of him. And Bolton have been failing for years. The same as Barnsley, because we're connected by Eyup, obviously. And my reasoning for Bolton doing well is obviously because Barnsley are going to go up, so Bolton have to as well. I'm kidding. Or am I? No, they're letting a lot of the players go. And it's a lot of the bigger names that Bolton have had as well that typically in previous seasons you'd look at and think, we're looking at some of League One's best here. But they've let a lot of them go. Santos, I don't believe they even offered him a contract and he's gone on a free to Swansea. They've let Baxter go on a free. They've let Collins go to MK Dons. They've got a good fee for that. Among other players like Gethin Jones, Southwood. There's some big names there on big wages that have just not done the business for Bolton and are players that, despite the name and what's attached to them, definitely needed to be moved on, and I think they've done well to get rid of him. Once Schumacher gets his own men in, like Simmons from Hull, who were on loan at Wycombe last season and he looked good then, midfielder. Obviously, they've got this winger from Rapid Vienna, I've got no clue. But they're bringing in young, hungry lads, which is what they need. They need legs, they need pace, they need a bit of flair, a bit of excitement, a better oomph, which a lot of these players that they've let go are just a little dead on the feet a lot of the time. In from Brighton looks sharp and all, and there's still a lot of work to be done, don't get me wrong. But Bolton, with Schumacher and a younger team with more legs and more energy, especially at home, I think can be very scary. It is not, I don't want to go anywhere because I've been 100 times on board. But Bolton is not a place that I would be looking at and thinking, we're going to go and get some points there. It's looking a difficult fixture before it's even started. I like Bolton's chances as a playoff side, me personally, this season. Pushing for autos, maybe, who knows. I do think they'll still spend a little bit. I think they're sat on a fair wedge that they've not shown yet. But I think Bolton will be a top playoff side. I'm looking at like 3rd, 4th-ish right now. But ultimately, I don't think they will finish in top 2. Which is because, undoubtedly, there is Man City, who will look dead cert to finish 2nd to me next season. Because I've got Liverpool to win league again. Now, I would never write Man City off for a title, ever. While they've got Pep, you'd be an absolute dunce to try and write Man City off when they've got that man in charge. But it's not because of them falling short or failing. But it's for how good that Liverpool are or could be. City are making positive signings as well. They've obviously got best coach ever. But a lot of the ever-presents that are in this team or have been in Pep's squad for the last few years are either knocking on or they've gone or they're injured a lot of time. Obviously, De Bruyne's gone. We're looking at one of the best players Premier League's ever had that has gone. Walker's gone to Burnley. Stones is old and injured quite a lot now. Gundogan's old and crap. Silva's still got a bit, but he's knocking on as well. Scott Carson's gone. Oh, my God. And the incomings do look good. Obviously, they've got a full new midfield to partner Rodri, really, and Cherky does look like the man. But Liverpool are just jokes. Liverpool are absolute jokes. The best team in country easily last season, and they took foot off in March and still strolled to title without even trying for the last couple of months. The defence is just outrageous, the quality that they've got. Going forward, they're adding more goals to a side that got 86 last season. You look at Florian Wirtz, who's one of the most expensive signings ever, the goal contributions that he's going to contribute to. They're looking at either Isaac or that Eki, whatever his name is, in from Frankfurt, that's going to cost about 100 mil. If they get Isaac, I'm being completely serious, I'm not watching Premier League for 5 years because they'll just walk it every single year. To get a player at that age that's that good, with the chances that Liverpool create, he'll score 50 a year. They've obviously sorted both the fullbacks out for the next 10 years as well, and they're still being linked with massive money moves. I think the best team in the league easily. They've had more quality than any other side, and to be honest, I think they should win it fairly comfortably. So for North West next season, I've got Bolton finishing 3rd, literally. I've got Man City finishing 2nd, literally, and I've got Liverpool as one of my title winners for next season, early doors. I've got Liverpool top of tree, literally. Which, in all its glory, looks like this. 17th, we're looking at Burnley and getting relegated. I've got Accrington Stanley getting relegated as well. Preston in 15th, Fleetwood, Barrow, Blackburn and Wigan, and then Tranmere into 10th. Making up the rest is Oldham in 9th, Man United in 8th, Everton, Salford, Blackpool in 5th, just outside at playoffs, and then Stockport in playoffs, Bolton in playoffs, Man City 2nd, and Liverpool top of the league so far looking at this. But boys and girls, Love you as always. Thank you. Kiss. Make sure you like, subscribe if you do enjoy. It does help me out quite a diddly. Absolute pleasure. See you in a bit. Goodbye.
I say I'm a man, yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying as a right good looker. I say up that. Show us bit it.